Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the September 14th, 2019 special edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE, and tonight is a special edition of the podcast because, of course, tomorrow is WWE's latest pay-per-view, Clash of Champions 2019. On this pay-per-view, this is, I guess, perhaps the one pay-per-view of the whole year where all the championship belts will be on the line. There is also one additional non-title match being featured, which I guess is the WWE's way of making sure to incorporate Roman Reigns into their pay-per-view plans. But regardless, there are 11 matches planned on the pay-per-view card tomorrow. As at the moment, as it currently stands, WWE has not listed any of these matches being on the kickoff show. And as I've been doing all along, certainly this season of my podcast, I'm only including in my final tally for my prediction count matches that actually appear on the main card of when the show occurs. So even though I'll be giving predictions for 11 matches tonight, there's a good chance that one or two of these may get placed on the kickoff show and thus will not count towards my overall prediction count for the year. That said, let's get going on to the first of the 11 matches for the predictions. The first match is for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, and it's a triple threat match. This is the match I feel likely will get placed on the kickoff show, just as it seems to be the trend with this Cruiserweight title. It doesn't very often make it to the main card, so this could be the one that doesn't wind up mattering at all as far as my podcast is concerned. But regardless, I'll give my prediction anyways. So the champion entering the match is Drew Gulak, and he's taking on Humberto Carrillo and also Lince Dorado. I believe that Drew Gulak will retain the WWE Cruiserweight title in this triple threat match, so that's my prediction there. Match number 2 is for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, with the tag team champions Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross taking on Fire and Desire, which is the tag team comprised of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. I've been suspecting for a while that Mandy Rose is someone that the WWE wants to give a push to, and I suspect that it's happening in 2019, and I think there's no better platform to do that than with her longtime tag partner Sonya Deville under a new tag team banner called Fire and Desire. I think this would be a good opportunity to give them a run and see what they can do holding the belts. And I think Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, their friendship is eventually going to come to a halt, and they're going to there's going to be some sort of a feud between them. It's only a matter of time. And I think a big turning point will come tomorrow night after this match, because I believe Fire and Desire will win the WWE Women's Tag Team belts in that match. So that's my pick there. Match number 3 is for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, with the champions The New Day taking on the team of The Revival. Just lately, The Revival, of course, having some alignment with Randy Orton, I just got a feeling that they're going to get the belts back, and this is a feud that's probably going to continue. So I feel that The Revival and The New Day, this is a program that we'll see for a few months yet. And but I think that Revival will claim the belts tomorrow night, and thus setting the platform for additional rematches in the coming months. So I'm choosing the Revival, and possibly with a little help from Randy Orton, possibly with some other devious ways, but I think the Revival will claim the SmackDown Tag Team belts tomorrow night. The fourth match on the slate is for the Intercontinental Championship, with champion Shinsuke Nakamura taking on The Miz. Nakamura lately has had Sami Zayn by his side as his translator and his been a bit of his sidekick, and I'm thinking that Sami Zayn will most certainly have involvement in this match and will aid Shinsuke Nakamura in retaining the Intercontinental Championship. It's difficult to say if this is a a feud that will persist after tomorrow night, but regardless, I believe that Nakamura will retain and continue on his title reign as the Intercontinental Champion. So Shinsuke Nakamura is my pick there. The fifth match on the card is for the United States Championship, with champion AJ Styles taking on 205 Live's Cedric Alexander. Even though Cedric Alexander has certainly proved that he's quite a capable performer and wrestler, AJ Styles is, he's one of the top talents in the world. I don't see him losing the belts, at least not yet. I think he's going to hold this belt for a while, drop it to someone. It could be Cedric Alexander, but I don't think it's going to happen right away. I don't know if WWE has plans to keep Alexander up on the Raw and SmackDown programming, but if they do, then perhaps the title will change to Alexander in the coming months. But I don't see this happening tomorrow night. Not yet. AJ Styles is too dominant, too powerful. Plus, he has Gallows and Anderson by his side to help him out. So you know what? AJ Styles, with the help of the OC, he'll certainly retain the United States belt, in my opinion. So AJ Styles is my pick. The next match is for the Raw Tag Team Championships, with fairly new champions, the team of Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman, who are the champions, who will appear later on in a different title match against one another. They're going to be taking on a team of Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. I believe that regardless of the match, the singles match that will happen later between these two, regardless of that outcome, I think Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman is a feud that will continue for probably the next several months. I think that said, that it's an interesting twist on the storyline for them to be champions together while they're nemesis of each other. So I'm choosing Rollins and Strowman to retain their belts against Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, but I have a feeling they're going to drop these belts soon enough. My guess would be the OC, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. I have a feeling those guys are going to probably come and challenge again for these tag team championships soon enough. So I think Rollins and Braun Strowman will successfully defend their belts tomorrow night, but I think that this title reign with those two will be fairly short-lived in the big scheme. So Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman to retain the Raw Tag Team belts is my pick there. The next match on the card is the only non-championship match featured, which is Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan in a no disqualification match. I've made mistakes earlier this season by picking against Roman Reigns a few times, and I got burned, so I'm not doing that. I'm choosing Roman Reigns to be victorious here over Eric Rowan. I think eventually we're going to see Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan have a pretty good feud and a pretty good program together. But regardless, as far as this one match, the outcome of this one match tomorrow, I think Roman Reigns will be victorious. Maybe Daniel Bryan will come and help Rowan after the match and pummel Roman Reigns, but I think for now, as far as a prediction goes, Roman Reigns will be victorious over Eric Rowan. The next match on the card is for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which is featuring the champion Bayley taking on Charlotte Flair. I gotta say, it's difficult to pick against Charlotte Flair on a pay-per-view, and Bayley's had a pretty decent run over the last few months with this belt. I don't see her defeating Charlotte Flair, though. This is one of those programs I think I could see, and I could certainly imagine continuing for a few more months yet, but I think Charlotte Flair is going to win, and I think she'll be the new SmackDown Women's Champion, and Bayley will probably come back at her, and they'll have a bit of a feud for a few more months yet, but I still see Charlotte Flair being victorious over Bayley tomorrow night for the SmackDown title. So Charlotte Flair is my pick there. The ninth match scheduled for the night is for the Raw Women's Championship, which is featuring champion Becky Lynch taking on Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, for anyone who's been watching WWE programming for the last half year or so, Sasha Banks has been absent for many of those months following WrestleMania. In spite of this, and in spite of her being fresh and coming back and coming for Becky Lynch, perhaps similarly to the last contest with with Bayley and Charlotte Flair, this is a feud which I imagine is going to continue for a while. It's not going to culminate and be done with tomorrow night, but I still think Becky Lynch will keep her reign as Raw Women's Champion going tomorrow night. I think she will successfully defend the Raw Women's belt against Sasha, and but that may change in the coming months. I think, again, there's going to be more battles to come between these two, but for now, Becky Lynch is my pick to retain the Raw Women's belt. The second last match on the card is for the WWE Championship, featuring champion Kofi Kingston taking on Randy Orton. This one certainly has a lot of intriguing elements. Randy Orton has aligned himself lately with the Revival. Of course, Kofi Kingston has his New Day brethren by his side. It's tough. This is one that I could see going either way, but I believe Kofi himself will get over the hump and defeat Randy Orton tonight, showing that he is on the same level as Orton and retain the WWE Championship. Once again, it's easy to imagine that this is a feud. I mean, this one carried over from SummerSlam last month, which had a very disappointing finish. So I think, though, that Kofi Kingston will actually win cleanly tomorrow night, but there will be further, I think, implications, and this situation won't be put to rest between these two after tomorrow. So I could see Randy Orton easily becoming a champion again before 2019 is out. So, but as far as Clash of Champions goes, I think Kofi Kingston will retain the WWE Championship. So he's my pick for that match. And the final match on the card is for the Universal Championship, which has Seth Rollins as the champion taking on Braun Strowman. Of course, as I mentioned, these two are tag team partners defending their Raw tag team belts earlier in the night, which I believe they will retain. I think that in this match, Seth Rollins, fresh from defeating Brock Lesnar for a second time in several months, I don't see him losing yet. Braun Strowman is a guy I personally have been clamoring for, who deserves one of the top titles. He's been in the top title picture for the last couple years now, has not won one. He's won a couple of tag belts that haven't lasted all that long yet, I guess I should say. I know that he is currently the champion, and I expect him to retain it tomorrow night, but I still don't feel that title reign with Rollins is going to last long. So Strowman is a guy who is, as powerful as they come, has the look, he has the support from the crowd. He's a guy that deserves a shot with the belt, the top belt, to see what he can do. I don't think it's going to happen yet, though, unfortunately for him. I think Seth Rollins will find a way to retain his Universal title, and Braun Strowman will have to wait for another day to earn one of these top belts. So for now, Seth Rollins, that will be my prediction to defeat Braun Strowman tomorrow night. So there you have it, folks. Those are my predictions for the 11 matches, at least currently scheduled on the card for WWE's Clash of Champions pay-per-view tomorrow night. I hope you enjoyed listening to my podcast, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel below if you enjoyed what you heard. Thanks very much for listening, and enjoy the show tomorrow night, and see you next time.